He's just brilliant at getting off the pontoon, like straight away. You know, he seems to get. He hasn't done it. That's one of his worst starts. But normally,
you put the mockers on him.
I did. But normally he's half a body length clear of the field when he hits his stroke, and then he's fast anyway. So he's going.
He's got Leo Berger.
He's fighting right now with Leo Berger.
Yeah, that's Polyansky there, who's taking it out fast. So he is a pretty quick swimmer as well. And then there's these guys in the middle here who are really having in the absolute the bun fight in the middle of it all. Vincent Louis hasn't had a great start here. He's back fighting with Johnny back there in the back of the field, probably almost the last two actually.
Igor Polyansky leads it though, and Henry Skurman's managing to get on his feet, so that's a good spot for the V. Jonas Schomburg, who is a great swimmer as well, I think that's him in third position. And then, as you say, if you look further back for the pink jersey, Vince Louis is in the washing machine in the middle, and he has to be looking at limiting the damage coming into transition the first time, because this is a very, very, very fast swim. They've already run the turn buoy halfway to the second.
He's moving up there fast on the outside. He's a good enough swimmer. He's moving around Leo Berger, there's three of them in the line there with Johnny, Leo Berger and Vincent Louis. Berger is absolutely killing both of them here actually. If he just pulled back and was actually, I'm just going to sit on Johnny's feet, it would be so much easier for them all. He would get to the front, he wouldn't have to try half as hard, it'd be so much easier. Vince Louis actually pulled out left there to get round, because he knows if he pulls up close, he'll be on his hip and slow him down, and that's why he swam round into clear water and he's okay now.
Okay, just a reminder that we lose the bottom 5 at the first stage of the Eliminator, swim, bike, run, a 10-minute break, and then we lose the bottom 5 in stage 2 when they hit the swim, bike, run again, and then the top 7 through to stage 3. So it's a tactical race for these guys. Make sure you're in the front pack, you're not in danger, and then conserve energy and don't try and burn all your matches before stage 2 and 3. Yeah. But if you're on the bubble, you need to try a little bit harder. We saw that in the women's race with Claire Michelle, had to really bust that run to stay in, and then that hurt her in the following stage, because 10 minutes when you've got to walk 3 minutes down the hill is not enough. As they get to the second turn buoy and turn for home, and Igor Polyansky leads from Henry Skurman, and I think this is one of the first time that Skurman won't lead out of the water, but Polyansky, the Russian, a renowned swimmer, and he's certainly showing that today. Vince Louis moved up into third position, so a nice bit of clear water for him.
And it's the men in the white jerseys, the youngest, who seem to be taking up the back of the field. So they're the boys that are really concerned about being eliminated. I had the opportunity to talk to young Ollie Turner from Jersey. He was very, very nervous about this. He said he's been swimming well, but he just never experienced pace like this in a swim race before in the triathlon.
That's one of the things, I think, moving up into top level triathlon, actually whatever World Series, it's just, I think the pace is on. It's fast out the swim, it's fast out onto the bike, and it doesn't really let up, and you hear that quite a lot. These three guys have got a bit of a gap. Vincent Louis swam really well in the middle part of that swim there to move up into third place, and has now got some nice clear water, and the guys behind him, I think it was one of the Canadians was fighting with Schomburg, I think, and Berger's moved up to there. So, I mean, this is close, like we were talking about before, that this is going to be close racing for the first few rounds for the men here.
Polyansky, Henry Skurman, Vincent Louis are your top 3 as it stands, and Polyansky's had a good transition, and he'll lead them out. Tyler Mislachuk was next out of the water, the Canadian from Leo Berger, Jonas Schomburg, Jonathan Brownlee in 7th, Ben Canute and Matt Sharp, the Canadian, in 9th. But there's plenty going on here as the guys who are at the end, and Ollie Turner.
Schilling just went to the wrong transition spot there,
he did.
So he's costed himself 5 seconds by going to the wrong transition spot.
And Wild's a long way back. In Jersey, he was right up close to the front. He's had a really average swim. He got caught out early, and he's very, very good on the bike. He said that he climbs very well. He's going to have to be aggressive up this first climb and close the gaps.
I think Felix is in trouble here.
Yeah,
there's a bit of a gap up to him, and he's going to have to ride well. I can see, attacking into the... Murray's not bad. He's just behind Johnny there. I think they're probably about 7th and 8th position. But this is Polyansky taking it on. I think he'll want to ride quite hard. He knows technically he's not superb, so I think he'll be a bit nervous about that downhill as well. So he'll want to hold his position, hold himself in the top 3 or 4 into that corner at the top, and that means he's got a bit of space to play with. That's Tyler Michalchuk, who was the Canadian that made it there, so he's in a good position, and his compatriot Matt Sharp is just a few places back. But there's really not a lot in this, and you see Murray just looking great there. He's in a good position. He's on the wheel. He knows he doesn't need to go round. He's just happy with where he is.
Our championship leaders are leading this 1 and 2. Henry Skurman leading from Vince Louis. There is Schilling, who made that mistake, and he's found himself rocketing down. But this is the first time down the drop, and it is a real drop. And for the guys with good bike handling skills, they can make time in this corner. And Vince Louis probably has the superior bike handling skills of almost anyone. Polyansky's dropped back to 4th position.
Berger's a good bike handler as well, you know, looking comfortable around the corner. You saw Murray, always the good racer. He's jumped up 2 or 3 slots there, you know, just making it that little bit easier for himself. João Pereira there, I think he will probably struggle a bit on this kind of format and this course of racing as well.
Yeah, Pereira currently in 12th, and that means he is right on the bubble ahead of Luke Schofield, Hayden Wild, who is at 6th place right now in the championship. Ollie Turner, Jaden Schofield, the second half of the twin brothers, and Jack Felix. Jaden Schofield, quite an inspirational story to even get here. Was stung by a stingray on the foot 10 days ago. When he arrived here in Malta, it was swollen to twice its normal size. Spent 6 hours in hospital between about 9 a.m. and 3 a.m. on Wednesday night.
Something happened to Johnny on that last corner, actually. I don't know whether he crashed, but he lost about 5 or 6 places.
Yeah.
And is now at the back of the field.
He's back with Wild, I thought.
So something happened. These guys are controlling it at the front. You know, Schumann looking calm and collected, just making sure they don't have to do too much work in the back end of the race. You know, really similar to what we saw Zafiras do in the women's earlier on.
The one thing about Richard Murray, you'll never see him move up to the front. He's tactically very, very good. He moved up, as you said. He's sitting back. He knows he's in no danger. These guys right here can just control everything they're doing. They're strong enough on the run to make sure they put themselves in that top 12.
Yeah, Mitchell just pushing it along. Maybe he's a bit nervous about what might happen on the run. Johnny's running himself straight back up, which is good, and he'll be happy with his position. And so is Hayden Wild there. You know, like you said, great bike rider. He's done what he needs to do, and the guys behind, they're struggling now. That gap's going out, and the thing is with those guys, they're going as hard as they can to make it on. And you know, I think that costs a lot. Like we saw a lot in the women's race. So even though the gap's going up, but they're actually trying a lot harder than a lot of the other guys. It'd be good if we got a shot to see what was going on when he actually went around that corner, but unfortunately the camera moves away, so
well, the boys said they didn't want the motorbike on the descent.
Yeah.
And,
a little bit too fast, a little bit too dangerous for the bike on the descent. It's only 10 seconds top to bottom. They're going at speeds. I don't know how quick they're going, probably 60 to 70 kilometres an hour at one point. And the bike can get in the road. Hayden Wild has really got his head down, and he knows he's in a little bit of trouble. Tyler Mislachuk leads, though. Louis, Schumann, Bergeret, Murray, Canute, Polyansky's dropped back to 7th from Schomburg, Brownlee and Schilling. But they're all in a group with about 5 seconds between them. So
with Tyler Mislachuk on the front, you know it's not going to be really pumping hard. So it's eased up, and that's why they've all bunched back together. Matt Sharp's at the back end of that group, isn't he?
But I count 13 there in the front.
There is 13. Yeah. There's 13, Sharp the 13th, so
which
one of them is going to drop out.
He's very close to the motorbike, getting a bit of an advantage. It's part of racing, and he's at the front. So
and that's a headwind too.
yeah, absolutely. So this whole group, it's 12, isn't it?
Yes.
There's 12 and there's 13 in this group. So Matt Sharp is at the end, and if it stays as it is, we're losing Ollie Turner, Luke Schofield and Jack Felix and Jaden Schofield. So one of this group of 13, if it stays the way it is going to get dropped off the back, and that'll be the end of their stage 1. So we've got a clear group of 13. 13 does not go into 12. The white jerseys are together, but they're about 9 seconds at last time through transition anyway, behind that main pack.
Yeah, the main pack spread over 7 seconds. So, yeah, it doesn't look massively far down, but it's probably enough. If one of them had a flying run, you might catch a couple, depending on if these guys have gone too hard, but yeah, it's not in the position you'd want to be. Yeah, see, that's a great shot of them going around the corner. You can see so much tighter, than we saw before in the women's race, and that spread between the front to the back isn't as much. But that guy, that's Matt Sharp, last man there. You see how much harder he had to work out that corner, really sprinting. He's actually still losing ground on the guys in front of him.
He's really he's struggling up that climb. Yeah. He seems to try and move up along the flat section here through Thunder Alley, they call it, and drifts back again on the climb. But you can see by his face, he's not happy.
Yeah, we'll see if he can hold on during the next climb when it's coming up. They're about to hit that turn and head up Malta Mountain, and it is a mountain. Yeah, last time, and then we're going to see 1.5 laps on the run before we get to the uphill finish, which is another excellent feature of this amazing course here in Malta. A group of 13 at the moment sticking together in a train. Last time up the hill, and we'll see if this splits them up. And at the front, it is Vincent Louis, your championship leader. Johnny Brownlee's back up into 3rd position. Ben Canute to the right of screen. Richard Murray in the green as well. And then the 3 young athletes, that's why they're wearing white. They're all classified as young athletes under 21 years of age. Ollie Turner, Luke and Jaden Schofield. You cannot tell them apart, I tell you what, when you see them up close, and you can't tell them apart when they're all wearing the same thing and cycling next to each other, making it difficult for us. So we'll just call them the Schofields.
The swollen foot made a big difference.
Yeah, it did for a while, but the swelling's gone down,
Yeah.
and now I have no idea. But here we go down the hill for the last time.
So
Murray now in 4th position. Scoomans dropped back to about 8th position.
And Polyansky all the way, drifting back again, as you said, struggling on those technical turns.
They're already undoing the shoes because they know that this corner's tough, and they've only got a really short, probably less than 10-second section here to undo the shoes and jump off. So they've undone the shoes at the top of the hill or on the descent somewhere. At this point, they'll be trying to get their feet on top of the shoes and jumping off, just to make it as clinical and clean as you can and not mess anything up. You know, these front 4 or 5 guys, they're just trying to make it, just minimise the chances of things going wrong.
Yeah, and they can go wrong, as Johnny has a little bit of an interesting dismount off the bike. Didn't lose too much time there, but he's been forced to rush a little bit, no doubt, and just maybe just spikes the heart rate, a little bit of a lack of composure for a second. And we can see how hard that is. Mislachuk and Murray are out first. He's so
shoes
good.
On. Every time, shoes on. You know, there's a few guys there that have lost 4 or 5 seconds. And I don't know what he's doing, or whether he just uses really stretchy laces to get his feet in quick, which you can afford to over this distance. You know, you can have really loose-fitting shoes actually, but every time, and he never seems to mess one up either.
Hayden Wild's made up for that poor swim. He was very comfortable at about 6th or 7th position.
And this here, Felix, who's last man, we haven't talked about him at all yet, I don't think.
Yeah, well, we're probably not going to see too much of him. And, you know, Richard Murray means business when he doesn't even take time to put his Red Bull visor on. He hardly ever is seen without it, and yet he knows just how much every second counts as he leads them through the turn. Mislachuk and Canute in 2nd and 3rd. Vincent Louis, Henry Schumann in 5th, Jonathan Brownlee, Leo Bergeret.
One of these
so
guys
this is the elimination, yeah.
Yep.
So that's Matt Sharp, Pierre and Polyansky. So out of those 3, 2 are going to get through and 1 is going to be eliminated. So that's where the good race is for this part. These guys have just got to control it, and it looks like they're actually running pretty hard there.
I've got a clock on them to get the first 400 metre split for us so I can get us just how fast they're going. And it's...
Well, let's concentrate, though, if we can, on that group of 3 behind. We can see the gap's probably long enough now to Andreas Schilling, who's managed to tack onto the back of this pack as Vince Louis takes another line, doesn't want to get stuck behind. Hayden Wilds found himself in there with Leo Bergeret in the kind of the second half of this group. And at the front, though, it's the green jersey of Richard Murray. All of the fastest split time members in the 4 different colours are all up there in the top 5 or 6. Henry Schumann, the last of all, in the blue swim jersey. But at the moment, it's Richard Murray, and here is the group that we need to concentrate on. João Pereira, Igor Polyansky, Matthew Sharp. The 3 tallest athletes in the field, all 3 of them together trying to get up this hill for the last time. They're going to go down once through transition and then again, up the hill for the finish. And all 3 of them will know, having seen them on that turnaround, that they are on the bubble. 1 goes home, 2 go through to have another crack in stage 2. Who's your money on, gentlemen?
Pereira runs really well most of the time, but he doesn't look like he's in great shape to me, and he doesn't run downhill very well either. You know, if Matt Sharp here, I'd say, is the weakest runner out of these 3, if he can really run downhill, but none of them are, they're all leaning back, you know, relatively slow turnover, so no one's really attacked that downhill. They could have made the difference just there, and that's the difference between getting through and not. I know that didn't answer the question, but I think...
You're getting good at commentary when you can say a lot without saying anything.
Politics next,
I'm looking for... I hope they stay together until the final climb. I'd like to see a sprint. I really want to see who's as committed. I think Sharp, since the beginning, he was at the back of the bike. He hasn't looked comfortable since the swim.
You're
so
right.
he struggled on the bike. He was last out of transition of the group, and he just seems to be in a bit of problems.
All right, to update you on those men, you can see there, all of them will be safe at this point and go through to stage 2. The only thing on offer for them in terms of getting up this hill and crossing the finishing line first is $1,000. But more important in their minds, as Vince Louis, he knows this. He's dropped to the back. He doesn't need to run hard.
Well, there we go. Pereira's made the move there.
There you go.
So he's probably safe, although it's probably 600 metres here, with most of it being uphill, so there's quite a long left. And I've got no idea what of the uphill sprinting capabilities of Polyansky and
You
Matt
haven't
Sharp.
read into that?
I haven't,
no. Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, I'll do more homework next time.
Vince Louis has a little look behind him, sees that there's plenty of room, and he's counted exactly how many people are in this group. So the top guys, bar the bottom 5, will all go through, and that big group there is João Pereira's behind them. You can see the gap back to him. He knows on the flat is the point for him to try and get a gap. Maybe he's not confident of managing to make it to the top of the hill. He has a look around.
Sharp seems to just be sitting off Polyansky. I think he knows he's probably done the numbers. He just has to beat Polyansky to get through, and he's gone around him.
He has. Let's see. One more time up Malta Mountain, 275 metres, 6% the gradient. Let's see who out of these two extremely tall triathletes can stride out better. João Pereira looks to me like he's going to get home. All these guys are going to get home. One of these two are probably going to get $1,000.
Johnny want the grand? Johnny want the 1,000?
I don't know. I don't.
They're talking to each other. They're having a discussion. Hayden Wild has had a stack. You can see by the look on his, he's got some blood on his knees.
Yeah.
But it looks like Johnny's going to give Hayden $1,000.
That's
he is indeed.
That's about 100,000 Kiwi dollars, I think.
Yeah, exactly. The exchange rate, but there you go. Maybe they're going to split it 50-50. All these guys are safe. They all come home. Let's have a look at the sprint if we can. Let's get these gentlemen out of the road. Pereira comes home, and it's going to be Sharp in the end. Who's going to do the job over Polyansky, who led out of the water and instead finishes one spot out, and that hurts.
See how much faster those guys went up. They basically took 10 seconds out the front guys up that hill. I mean, I know they were running slow, but that shows you the difference between the kind of speeds.
It's going to be. You're going to pay for that in the second stage.
So 15:22. So as opposed to stage 3 in the women's, they were about 17:06 it was. So the guys have got around this course, swim, bike and run, in 15:22 for Hayden Wild. And it's unfortunate for Igor Polyansky there, talking to Leonid Boguslavsky, who's one of the co-founders of Super League Triathlon, a fellow Russian. He was so close in the end, and so much respect between these athletes. Ollie Turner from Jersey qualified from his efforts there. A hug from either Jaden or Luke Schofield. I've got no idea at all.
Hand to the feet. Hand to the swollen foot.
Both of them are going home. Jaden and Luke, Jack Felix, Ollie Turner and Igor Polyansky eliminated. The bottom 5 out. The rest now, and you can see the clock ticking there, 8 minutes and 45 seconds until we get underway again. And this is when the Eliminator really comes into its own. The ability to back up, the ability to go down, and it's quite a way to the bottom of the hill to get ready once again, get your heart rate down, get composed. But let's have a look back at stage 3 and how it worked out. Igor Polyansky, we know how it worked out for him, but it looked good at this point. Henry Schumann sat on his heels. Vince Louis did a little bit of extra work to end up coming out of the water in 3rd. He would have seen the travails of the women's and how important it was positionally. A bit of an accident or a mistake there for Andreas Schilling, and a bit of back and forth there. Jack Felix just looking around for his bike and ended up having to go back too, and that was pretty much the end of his run. Schumann led for a while, Louis led for a while. Tyler Mislachuk was there or thereabouts, so that'll be a confidence boost for Tyler. He had a win in an Italian World Cup race last week, so his confidence is sky high, and he attacked this course with everything he had. This group really put the hammer down at one point when there was 13, came into the run. Richard Murray took the early control after having a good swim by his standards. He was in the top 10 on the cusp, and all of these men knew they were safe by the time they got onto the second lap of the run. Hayden Wild had a discussion with Johnny Brownlee and told him that he needed the money more than Johnny did, and he got the $1,000 for his troubles. So that was nice. You wouldn't have done that. Johnny did that.
Johnny's never given me $1,000, so
well, there